Odie Logue Sports Info here, back with another stream for you guys. Yeah, y'all, hit that like, subscribe, bell icon so y'all can be notified when I drop these streams because y'all know I keep it real. I know I messed that all the way up. I messed that all the way up. But yeah, you guys, let's get into the video, right? Because I'm tired of the narratives, right? Okay, so Bob Arum, he always say that the PBC is lying about their numbers, right? And I showed y'all earlier that Rick Glacier, he tagged everybody he could tag in his post, right? Right, to talk about the numbers. Right? So I want everybody to understand that the PBC is playing mind games with you guys, right? And Bob Arum, we might don't like the guy, right? But he keeps it, he keeps it real on a lot of stuff, right? And when it comes down to pay-per-view numbers, Bob Arum keeps it real on pay-per-view numbers and stuff like that. Even with his fighters, right? Even with his fighters, he doesn't care. He keeps it real, right? He can lie and say his fighters are doing, are doing these numbers or doing these numbers, but no, he says, no, my fighters did this, right? So let me share some numbers from the Danny Garcia versus Earl Spence Jr. fight, right? Because we already know that it was supposed to have sold, right, 250,000 pay-per-view buys, right? But according to Bob Arum, right, and I don't want the Earl Spence Jr. fanboys to come here. Oh, man, but Bob Arum, he lying. Oh, man, he be lying. He's just lying. Okay, so was he lying about losing money with Crawford? Just answer that question. Was he lying about losing money with Crawford? And if the answer is no, he wasn't lying. If the answer was no, Bob Arum wasn't lying when he said he was losing money with Crawford, then he's not lying about these pay-per-view numbers. Simple as that, right? So let's share. Man, look, because according to Bob Arum, these numbers, and I'm not gonna even put up the Udanis Ugas and Earl Smith Jr. numbers because they not even out yet, right? The official numbers are not even out yet, right? They just floated something out to the media. They just gave the media something to run with. And they already know that boxing fans are like rocks, right? They're going to grab onto that 240 and they're going to run with it, right? But we all know that Danny Garcia is more popular than Udanis Ugas, right? But see, it's a whole article on this. The Ring. No, Arum isn't embracing sources say estimated of Spence Garcia pay-per-view buy, right? Okay, now let's read a little bit. Look, let's just read this. I heard the satellite and the dish number were minuscule, Arum told me, of Spence Garcia production, which was put together and distributed by Fox in concert with PBC cable, but really underperformed way lower than they thought it would do. They were hoping to do like 300,000 buys. In actuality, Arum heard by word of mouth from his sources cultivated from 6 decades in the game. I want to read that again. In actuality, Arum heard by word of mouth from his sources cultivated from 6 decades, that means 60 years in the game, that maybe 125,000 buys were activated. And in the Thursday follow-up, Arum perception hadn't shifted. He told me, we know approximately they'll be lucky to get 120,000. He told me. We've just gotten to the point where the numbers being used are not realistic. So it's a whole article on this shit, right? But you know the cult members and the LDBC, the PBC fanboys, oh, Bob Arum lying, Bob Arum lying. No. Spence versus Danny Garcia did 120,000 pay-per-view buys, right? It was lucky to do that, if that. But they put out a report saying that it did like 300, oh no, saying that it did 250K, right? So they added 130,000 pay-per-view buys on there. I want y'all to think about that. They added 130,000 pay-per-view buys. So what are they adding with Udenis Ugas, who's not as popular as Danny Garcia at all, right? At all. He's not as popular as Danny Garcia at all. But they got a 240-ish floating out here. Earl Spence Jr. and them didn't do no 240, man. They didn't do near 240. They probably added another 130, another 140 on there, right? It probably did 100,000 pay-per-view buys, and they added another 140 on there, right? Then they leak it out to the public. Then they leak it out to the media that they want to, because Mike Coppinger, he haven't said nothing about these pay-per-view buys. And he breaks all the pay-per-view buy stories for the PBC. He haven't said nothing about nothing. Right? Okay, now let's share this other one. Okay, let's share this other one. Spence versus Porter. See, look, and this is just how real that Bob Arum is. This is just how real he is. Right? See, look, they reported that it did 350K strong business and cement Spence as a pay-per-view attraction. Right? Right? But it said promoter Bob Arum sources say different. Actually, number was around 170,000. Arum told me Wednesday night. Cable outperformed satellite and digital on which my first estimate was based. I asked Arum for comparison's sake. What did the April 20th Terrence Crawford below wearing Everglass t-shirt top? I mean, like, what did the basically, like, what did the Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan, fight did? And he said around 125,000 buys. Right? So he didn't lie about what his people did. Right? He didn't lie about what Terrence Crawford did. Right? He could have smooth lied and said Terrence Crawford did 200,000 buys. Right? Terrence Crawford did 300,000 buys. He didn't lie and say that. He said Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan did 125,000 buys. So if he not lying about this, why is he lying about this? If he not lying about Amir Khan and Terrence Crawford doing 125,000 buys, why would he lie about Sean Porter and Earl Spence Jr. doing 170,000? Why would he lie? Right? Why? So I just want it to make sense. Why? Because it ain't making sense. It's not making sense at all. Promoter Bob Arum, sources say different. Actually, number was around 170,000. Arum told me Wednesday night. Cable outlet performed satellite and digital on which my first estimate was based. I asked Arum for comparison's sake, what did the April 20th Terrence Crawford fight do with Amir Khan? 125,000 buys. So this number not real. Sean Porter versus Earl Spence Jr. did not do 350,000 buys. It did not do it. It didn't. Arum said it did 170,000 buys, and in the same statement, he said his fighter did 125,000 buys. So if he didn't cap up for his fighter, if he telling the truth about his fighter, why would he be lying about the other? It just don't make no fucking sense. Because he would lie for his fighter, right? If you're going to lie for anybody, you're going to lie for your fighter. You're going to lie for the fighter that's under your promotional company. Right? You're going to pump them up to be something. You just ain't going to come out and say, oh, man, he did 125,000 buys. That's what he did. The Las Vegas-based deal maker responded. That's what he said. So make it make sense. Man, but Mike Coppinger was lying. Or he just got fed. Well, I'm not going to say he was lying. He was fed some numbers. Right? He just was fed some numbers. And he ran with those numbers. But Bob Arum have people who've been in this game, like I just showed y'all, for 6 decades. 6 decades. 60 years. He got people who've been in the game for 60 years who know all about this shit. Right? You feel what I'm saying? So he know what's going on, bro. And if you don't believe this number, then you can't believe this number. It's simple as that. If he didn't do 170,000, then Terrence Crawford didn't do 125,000. You can't say you believe one and then you don't believe the other. Either you believe them both or you don't believe them both. Either or. But this is the goalpost that that the cult members, they love to move. Right? You feel what I'm saying? They love to move this goalpost. But hey, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Because I'm going to always expose you guys. Always. Always expose you guys. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, y'all, it is what it is. But me, I just wanted to point out that. You feel what I'm saying? I just wanted to really point out that, because if you're going to believe that Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan did 125,000, then you got to believe that Earl Spence versus Sean Porter did 170,000. Right? Because he said it at the same time. And if you don't believe that he did 170,000, then you can't believe that Terrence Bud Crawford did 125,000, because that means he was lying, right? So he was lying about Terrence Crawford. So he was telling the truth about Terrence Crawford, but he was lying about Spence? Nah, bro, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. It does not work like that. It does not work like that. But yeah, you guys, I just want to do a quick little vid. Man, I mean, shit, I just was up about to look at me a movie. I just want to just do this quick little vid because I remember, you know, Bob Arum saying this stuff. I remember him saying this stuff, right? And his whole articles on it. But, you know, like people, they overlook it because, oh, Bob Arum, he was lying. Okay, well, if he was lying about that, then I mean he was lying about losing money on Terrence Crawford, right? That mean he was lying about all the stuff he was saying about Crawford, right? You can't have it both ways. It don't work like that. You can't have it both ways. So yeah, you guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment. I'm gone.